So many of us are walking around just feeling completely drained, and we're left wondering what is really going on. But let's get one thing straight right from the start. Feeling this way absolutely does not mean you're broken. In fact, tons of high functioning people are silently struggling with this exact same question. Is it my job or is it me? Well, let's get some clarity.
Does this sound familiar to you? You get a full night's sleep, maybe you even take the whole weekend off to recharge, but that deep, bone-weary exhaustion, it just doesn't quit. It feels like it's always there, just waiting for you on Monday morning.
Or hey, maybe this is the one that hits home. That spark you used to have for your work, it's gone. The motivation has just vanished. But you're still grinding it out, you're still pushing through deadlines, and you're keeping up appearances for everyone else. And then there's this part, which might be the most confusing piece of the puzzle. You feel emotionally detached, kind of numb, yet you're still functioning. You're still going through the motions, performing your duties day in and day out like nothing's wrong.
You know, it's so easy to just slap a single label on this whole experience and call it depression. But what if it's something else entirely? What if what you're feeling is actually burnout? Understanding the difference isn't just some academic exercise. It is the absolute critical first step to finding the right way forward.
All right, first up, burnout. So, what exactly is it? Well, what's crucial to understand is that experts don't see it as a medical illness, but as a direct response to your work environment.
The World Health Organization gives us a really clear definition here. And just look at that specific wording: occupational phenomenon and chronic workplace stress. This immediately anchors burnout squarely in the context of your job. It's not about a chemical imbalance, it's about an environmental one. And this breaks it down into three classic signs. First, you feel totally drained. That's the emotional exhaustion. Second, you start to feel cynical or detached from your job. That's the mental distance. And third, you just notice you're not as good at your work as you used to be, and that's the reduced effectiveness. And hey, if you're feeling this, you are so far from alone. Get this. A massive Gallup poll found that 76% of employees feel burnout at least sometimes. This isn't some kind of personal feeling, it's a modern work crisis, plain and simple. Okay, now let's switch gears and look at depression. This is a different category altogether. Now, while work can certainly trigger it or make it worse, the roots of depression and its reach are much broader. And right here, this is the single most important distinction. Burnout is pretty much contained to your professional life. Depression, on the other hand, is pervasive. It colors everything: your work, your relationships, your hobbies, even your sense of self. You can see how the symptoms are different too, right? It's not just about feeling cynical toward your work, it's about losing interest in things you used to genuinely love. It's not just feeling ineffective at your job. It's this deep, persistent feeling of worthlessness that follows you everywhere you go. And the scale of depression is just immense. The WHO reports that 280 million people around the world live with it. This is a serious global health issue that often requires professional support because it's not something a simple vacation is going to fix. Okay, so we've defined both. Now for the practical part. How can you start to tell the difference for yourself? Well, it really comes down to one core idea: your environment versus your internal state. This table really sums it up nicely. But here's the bottom line. Burnout is basically an environmental overload. Your system is overwhelmed by what you do. Depression, on the other hand, is an internal emotional state. It's about how you feel everywhere. So, it all comes down to this one simple, powerful question. If you won the lottery tomorrow and you never had to work another day in your life, would this feeling of dread and exhaustion just disappear? Or would it still be there, hanging over everything? Just take a second and really think about that. Your answer to that question points you down one of two very different roads to feeling better. Now, this isn't about diagnosing yourself, but it is about empowering yourself to take the right first step. Let's just follow the map, okay? If your answer is yes, I'd still feel this way, that suggests the feeling is coming from inside you, not just from your job. And that's a really good time to consider talking to a professional. But if your answer is no, I think the feeling would vanish, that's a pretty strong sign that your environment is the primary problem. So if you suspect it's burnout, why not try a practical reset? Think of it like a one-week experiment. Be absolutely ruthless in protecting your time. Set hard stops for your workday. No checking work email after 6 p.m. And take a real,
20-minute walk every single day without your phone, and just let your nervous system breathe. Because this is the fundamental truth of it all. Burnout often responds really well when you change your environment and enforce boundaries. Depression, however, typically requires a different kind of help: professional, emotional, and sometimes medical support. If you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this key distinction. Burnout is about what you do. Depression is about how you feel everywhere. Is the problem centered on your work, or does it follow you home? Because ultimately, mislabeling what you're feeling can mean you delay getting the right kind of help. Understanding this difference isn't a diagnosis, but it is the first and most powerful step toward regaining control and finding your way back to feeling like yourself again.